What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the weekly Game Week preview series. So we're looking at Game Week 7 this week, going through some of your kind of questions and key talking points that you've put to me on social media as well as on YouTube, and also looking at things like Captaincy as well. So we're looking at the likes of Sterling this week, Digne, lots to talk about them, not been doing too well over the last couple of weeks, so people getting cold feet, should we keep them, etc. So lots to go about. If it's something you enjoy, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's jump into it. So looking at Sterling first, and it's quite funny how things play out in FPL. I think a lot of us who own him, who when he didn't start last week, were thinking maybe it's time to take him out. 2 blanks and now a rest, but then he gets rested, misses the whole game. Kevin De Bruyne, for a lot of us, was vice captain, scores 34 points. And suddenly you're not so annoyed at Sterling. You're thinking maybe you can keep him for the next few game weeks. And that's basically what we're talking about. So one thing I would do is try and disregard that he missed the last game. That's happened now, not much you can do about it. The key question to ask yourself is that going to keep happening going forward? And the answer is probably no. He's going to start way more games than he misses out. It's Man City, we know there's going to be rotation. So I'm not too concerned about his game time going forward. Yes, they've got Europe. Yes, they've got the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. But he's going to start more league games than the most, or at least more than he's going to miss. And De Bruyne got a rest against Norwich. Then he comes in the next game and gets 17 points. So not saying Sterling will do that, but there's obviously a chance. He's had a bit of a rest. He is playing in the Carabao Cup tonight. I will say I'm recording this as the matches are on. I've got to do that as always to get it out. So maybe we'll see how he does. But he's already scored a goal before I've started recording this. So hopefully he's in some good form and hopefully comes off with a good few minutes to spare and is rested for the next game. Looking at the underlying stats, 12 shots in the box in the last 4 games for him. If you compare that to other players, Abraham and Mopai at Brighton have had 13, so only one more than him. Aguero's on 19 though, so he's getting lots of shots in, and we know that he's doing well at the moment. But Sterling's underlying stats are still right up there. He's creating quite a few good chances as well. The only thing I would say though, Aguero is matching him, or even doing better, and it looks like he's getting the rest. He's been rested in the Carabao Cup. He didn't start in Europe as well, and we saw that a lot last year, and he got most of those league games instead, so he could be a better option if you have to pick one or the other. Obviously if you're going for both, then great, but one or the other right now. And I always think if I was on wildcard, what I would do, I'd probably get Trent Alexander-Arnold instead of Robertson, and I might even think about getting Aguero instead of Sterling. But one thing to say is he's probably going to start the next game. There's every chance he starts the next 4. Everton away, Wolves at home, Palace away, Villa at home and Southampton at home. That's actually the next 5. You'd expect him to start at least 4, maybe even 5 of those. He doesn't get rested that often. They're good fixtures. We've just seen him smash Watford 8-0. They're always going to be a team that scores goals, and if Sterling plays, that could be good for him. With Mendy back as well, that provides a bit of width down the left. Zinchenko's not playing in the Carabao Cup, completely out of the squad. Mendy's on the bench. You'd think that's maybe a little bit of a rest now before the next Premier League game. And if Mendy provides the width, hopefully that means Sterling can cut inside a bit more, get into the box, and get his goals that way. So we'll have to see what happens. I've got him. I'm not really too concerned. I'm probably going to keep him. If I was on wildcard, I might make the switch. I don't think there's, unless you think he's suddenly dried up and those blanks are going to continue, then maybe you get rid. But ultimately, he's blanked twice. Yes, he missed a game, but I wouldn't call that a blank because he hasn't had the chance to score points, if that makes sense. So 2 blanks. Let's see what he does in the next couple of games. If he's still blanking, if his underlying stats get poor, then maybe we get rid. But right now, I'm happy to hold him, I think. Lucas Digne is another player like Sterling that a lot of people are thinking about getting rid. Fixtures to come are okay, apart from this week. So Man City at home, probably wouldn't expect much from that game. Burnley away, West Ham at home, Brighton away. So I can see maybe 1 or 2 clean sheets there. But you've got to remember that one of the games is Man City at home, and then 2 of the next 4 are also away games. So they're not going to be easy. They've not had a clean sheet either since game week 2, and they've conceded 2 goals, I think it is, in each of the last 4 fixtures. So defensively not looking good. Obviously they're missing Gabamin in central defensive midfield. They lost him really early on. He was supposed to be Idrissa Gueye's replacement. Not got Zuma at the back either. So it does look like they're struggling for defensive returns. I wonder what's going to happen with Marco Silva if they still keep on performing this badly going forward. So we'll have to wait and see with that. But no clean sheet since game week 2 is worrying. Yes, we pick these players for attack and return, same as Trent Alexander-Arnold, but defenders, the bread and butter is still those clean sheets. You want the attack and returns on top. You want the attack and return on that odd game they don't get a clean sheet. You don't want to be going 4 or 5 game weeks without a clean sheet at all. So for his price, it is a little bit of a worry now. I think one player that's come onto the radar for a lot of people is Otamendi. He's obviously cheaper. Man City's fixtures are pretty good. He's got a bit of attacking threat himself, but they're probably going to keep more clean sheets than Everton. And obviously you get him for a lower price. There's not actually too many defenders worth more than Lucas Digne. And one we're going to talk about actually in a bit is Alonso at Chelsea. He's probably going to play the next few games, and they've got good fixtures. So If you look at the underlying stats again, a bit like Sterling, 10 chances created in the last 4 game weeks. That's only second to Trent Alexander-Arnold, so he's still right up there. Had 6 goal attempts, which is joint equal with Trent, but he's only had 1 in the box, so I think Trent's had 5. So probably not necessarily a fair comparison, because Trent Alexander-Arnold's probably the best attacking defender asset in the game. I don't think most people would question that, but there are worrying signs for Digne. Yes, his attacking threat is still there, but the clean sheets aren't, and the fixtures, I'm not quite sure where they're going to get too many clean sheets from. Maybe I could see 1 or 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if they only kept kind of 0 or 1 in the next 4 fixtures. So I'm thinking about getting rid of him. So it depends what else you want to do. I don't necessarily think it's worth a hit, but if you've got a free transfer, you could look at getting rid. So captaincy is pretty interesting this week. I don't think there's necessarily a standout option. If you look at every single player, not just necessarily the players I've got in my team, I don't know if there's a massive standout choice. And I don't know if there's a player that's in kind of all of our teams that's also the go-to choice. Like a lot of times, if Sterling or Salah are in a lot of teams and they've got a really good fixture, they're the one to go for. And I'm not saying the fixtures they've got aren't good or they aren't easy, but I wouldn't say they're standout, mostly because it's away games. And the other teams like Chelsea and Spurs have got the home games. So Sheffield United versus Liverpool, for me, without even thinking about stats and stuff for the teams or the players, I almost think like you could choose Salah or Mane there and just not overthink it. It's a newly promoted side. Yes, they've actually done pretty well defensively, so that might put me off a little bit. But this is Liverpool. They tend to score goals. They're going to be on the attack. So I think Salah's a pretty good option there. Mane doing really well. Does tend to get a lot of his returns from home. At Anfield, obviously, but I still think he's probably going to be back and playing, so he's a good option as well. So I like the Liverpool options. Chelsea versus Brighton is almost like a punt, because you know that Mount and Abraham are doing well this season. You know that there's obviously an enticing fixture that are at home. Kante's back, that's going to improve them all around the pitch as well. They should have more of the ball, etc. So I think that could be a good punt against Brighton, but it is a punt. You know that everyone's going to go to Aguero, to De Bruyne, to Sterling, to Salah, etc. So if you don't do too well and they do smash it, it's going to hurt you. But I think if you're looking at purely fixtures and the amount of goals they're scoring this year, I do think Mount and Abraham are a good outside bet. Spurs versus Southampton, I'm still not sure about Kane. I don't think he's doing enough going forward. So you're really looking at Son there. So a bit of a differential pick. Again, if he doesn't do well versus the rest, you're going to fall behind. But I don't necessarily want to think about that too much, because if you think Son is going to do well versus Southampton and he's missing the Carabao Cup game, or at least he hasn't started, and that should be a good fixture. At home is always decent. Southampton, defensively, I'm not sure they put up too much of a fight against Spurs, especially if Spurs are on it, like we saw against Crystal Palace, the 4-0 win. Now, they did lose against Leicester 2-1, but Leicester have been pretty good defensively. So I think Southampton at home is a different task. So I think Son's a good option. And Everton versus Man City, I mean, how can you ever discount Man City when they score so many goals week in, week out? I think just given another rest, a bit like last week, I think Aguero probably tops Sterling, but De Bruyne hasn't started that Carabao Cup match either. He's been so consistent this year. I think a lot of the times for captaincy, we obviously look for that explosiveness. We want that hat-trick. We want that kind of 20-point haul when it comes to a midfielder hat-trick. But realistically, just getting something on the board, kind of a 7-8 points plus, if you could do that every single week, you'd be laughing. So if you did it for most weeks and took the odd, obviously, explosive here and there, you'd be laughing. So I think De Bruyne is a really good option. And given that Sterling's playing, maybe if you don't own Aguero, perhaps De Bruyne is the one to go for. But I wouldn't put it past Sterling starting and maybe doing well there. So I think, for me, I'm currently choosing basically between Salah and Sterling as always. If you've got Aguero, I think I might go there. But I think Salah versus Sheffield United, maybe it's just a case of not overthinking it. It is a newly promoted team. Could be the best option. But the way Everton have been defensively recently, I can see Man City going there and getting plenty of goals. So I think, again, like last week, Aguero the top man, Sterling and De Bruyne are probably next, and then Salah slightly just behind, but not by too far. Just finishing off with some other bits to go through. So Tierney, Arsenal left-back, has started in the Carabao Cup tonight. Again, I don't quite know what he's going to have done by the time I finish this video. But that is kind of enticing maybe in the future to go for him. I don't think he necessarily gets into the Premier League team straight away, but if he can prove kind of fitness and obviously that he's playing well, training well, etc., then he should get in there. I think I wouldn't write Arsenal off just yet for defensive returns. I know it doesn't look great and I know they rotate quite a bit, so this probably is one for the future. But keep an eye on him. 5.4 million. Arsenal do have good fixtures. Last season in the league, I think he got 5 assists in 20 games. So that's a pretty good return, 1 every 4 weeks. Whether he'll get that in the Premier League, we don't know. But he could be a good attacking option for Arsenal. Obviously, playing balls into the likes of Aubameyang is decent, but we need to see him hold that left back spot down. So let's see how he does there. Alonso, bit of a nostalgia pick. I've got a few notes there. I've actually written nostalgia. Obviously didn't do too well last season, hasn't really been an option this season. It looks like Emerson's going to be out for a little while, a few weeks at least. And Chelsea's fixtures are Brighton at home, Southampton away, Newcastle at home and Burnley away. So yes, they've not kept any clean sheets so far this season, but I feel like they only conceded 2 goals to Liverpool, was actually pretty good. I think Tomori was pretty decent on the ball. Really, we want Rudiger back as well. I think that will help. But Kante being back is a massive boost to Chelsea as well, so that should help defensively. So I think if they're gonna get clean sheets this season, the next 4 fixtures are pretty good ones to get it in. So Alonso, I think he's only 6.2 million now. We know how good he can be. If he can get forward and attack in these fixtures, he could be a nice differential. A bit of a nostalgia pick. But when will Rudiger back and can they keep clean sheets? That's obviously what you've got to ask yourself. 4.5 million defenders. I think a lot of people are looking at bringing these in because they're going maybe 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. So players that I'm looking at is Tomori at Chelsea. Obviously, you're not getting Emerson or Alonso kind of attacking returns down the left. But he's only 4.5 million. And again, if they're going to keep clean sheets, hopefully it'll be in these fixtures. Now, with him, we don't necessarily know if he's definitely nailed, but he looks to be ahead of Zuma now, and Christensen's possibly injured. So it's basically between him and Christensen when Rudiger is back. So he's looked pretty good. He's kind of played himself into the team, and he's played well while he's been in the team as well. So he might keep his place. So I'm looking at him. Soyuncu is probably the pick of the bunch. Not 4.5 million strict, but he's 4.6. Leicester fixtures: Newcastle at home, Liverpool away, obviously tough. Burnley at home and Southampton away. But with these cheaper defenders, if you're going for 2 or 3, you probably want to rotate them a bit. So you don't necessarily need to play him in the Liverpool fixture, for example. So I think he's really good. I think Leicester defensively have been pretty good this season. Only conceded 1 against Spurs last weekend. So I've got him in. And I really like him. Lundstrom's the obvious choice, not going to speak about him. You must know about him by now. And one other person to look out for is Diop at West Ham. They've got 3 clean sheets now in the last 3 games, including Man United at the weekend. Next 4 fixtures, or next 5, are Bournemouth away, Palace at home, Everton away, Sheffield United at home, and Newcastle at home. So there are definitely some winnable fixtures there. And he actually now, when I look at it there on the sheet, might actually rotate better with Soyuncu than Tomori does. So definitely one to look out for. And then lastly, just to finish on wildcard, people asking me when I'm thinking of using it. I don't have a plan, basically. I'm fairly happy with my team. 2 free transfers, and I can do a lot with that. So there's no harm in having a plan, but don't kind of put yourself into a box where you have to use it where actually you might not have needed to. So the wildcard's tough because if you've not got loads of injuries, loads of suspensions, then you're kind of waiting for something bad to happen, but obviously you're managing your team so nothing bad happens, so you plan ahead, you have the players in if and when needed. So really maybe you're looking at fixture changes or something like that, but I don't really have a plan. I'm pretty happy with the team I've got. I can get the players I want with the 2 free transfers, and unless Sterling and Salah suddenly become not needed at all, then I've got them in place as well. So wildcard, I would say have a plan if you want, but if you don't, that's not a problem. There's a long time to use it. Plenty can happen in the next few weeks, so don't panic too much. So that's it for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Hit that notification bell so you know when every other video goes live and when I'm live streaming, which will hopefully be Thursday at 9 o'clock. Just a little update on my team. So I've put a tweet out and a comment on YouTube that I've been told that I'm going to get my team back. But as of the time of recording this, I don't quite have it back yet. Now, they've told me I should have it back for the stream on Thursday. And to be honest, I really want the team back before I do a stream because obviously it's easier to interact with the team and show you what's going on. I can actually log into it. So fingers crossed I'll have it by Thursday at 9 o'clock. And if I do, I'll be streaming them. But obviously we've got this video. Hopefully that's helped, kind of a short form version. But that's just a little update about the team. I know a lot of people are asking me. I'm trying to put out as many tweets as possible without boring people to death about it. So hopefully I have it back by Thursday. They've kind of said that I will get it back. So that's good news. I just hope it's in a good state. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll be streaming on Thursday. If not, I'll leave it there and wish you good luck for Game Week 7. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.